guys, welcome to Brutes Magoots, where today we are going to be doing a electronic swap out on this Dean Exile 7 Multiscale. I've had this guitar for a couple months now and I've gotten real comfortable with it. I did have some setup issues with it initially from the factory, but I worked through all that and I do really like the guitar. Unfortunately though, it's a little too bassy for me. The bass end of things is pretty prominent and rounded, not as tight as I'd like, and then the mids are kind of, I don't know, it's just not really great for my personal taste. It does come with a custom set of Seymour Duncan Sentient Nazgul pickups, and I know people typically say that they're kind of on the brighter side, but in this particular setup, this guitar is very, very bassy, and I wanted to kind of even that out among the other guitars I have that have other Seymours in there, or Fishmans, whatever the guitar setup is, or whatever the wood it's made out of, whether mahogany, alder, whatever. This guitar is just bassy, and I always have to round or back off the bass on my setup whenever I use this guitar, and I wanted to kind of even things out and get something that suited it better for my personal taste. So I hit up Ben at Bare Knuckle Pickups, and he was super helpful. We went back and forth on this quite a bit because this is the first time they've ever done anything for this guitar, so it was a bit of work, and he was a lot of help, and we ended up settling on the Nailbomb for the bridge and the Cold Sweat for the neck, and they just seemed best for my application, which is, you know, the Nailbomb for high gain stuff. Most of the stuff I play is metal or death metal. And then as far as the neck, I really like a more smooth, like liquid rounded tone, but not being too muddy. We both felt like the Nailbomb and Cold Sweat was going to be the best way to go. I will say they had to do a custom base plate for me. These pickups are at 18 degrees and their standard is 16. So they do work with you if you have oddball stuff like this. So this, if you guys are looking at this in future, this Dean Exile 7 Multiscale has 18 degree pickup. And so anyway, I got that set up, and then I also I just can't deal with non-locking tuners. It's 2022, and there's no reason why, especially like a $2,600 guitar, does not come with locking tuners. So I hit up Tone Ninja, that has very fairly priced tuners. I think these are like 50 bucks, 55 bucks for the 7 locking tuners, and I mean, it's just really the way to go. They're perfectly fine. They have a 19-to-1 ratio. So let's look at this stuff up a little bit closer. All right guys, so here's an up close look at all the goodies, and here is a look at one of the pickups. This is the Nailbomb, and I went with the aged gold and the aged bobbins because I feel like it's going to fit the look of the guitar best, and I also plan in the future to put gold frets on it. Here on the back, I went with the 4-conductor setup so I can do coil splitting on both of them, and then also we did a rounded base plate on here instead of the hard edges, so it can drop down in there. If I have problems with the recess, then I'll end up on the, I'll use the belt sander and take those down a bit. Now every one of their pickups comes with the strings, and then we have just a bunch of other stuff, decals and picks and coaster and all that stuff. So I like all that, great inclusions. I wanted to go ahead and put in high quality guts for the guitar. So what I ended up doing is I ended up using their, if I can get it in focus for you guys, I got their volume and tone knobs. Just because I know it's really good quality. I honestly don't like the ones that are on here because they're a little bit loose, and they kind of move around on me a bit when I'm playing, which I don't like. I got some of their classic wire too, which I'll use on here. And then also I got their capacitor, and this is the 22 version, which was recommended. And I'll put that on the tone. And then I got their super switch 5-way super switch. So again, just a really good high quality piece of electronics. It's very durable and feels solid, and I'm excited about using all their stuff. I've had their stuff in the past, but I'm excited about swapping out the guts on this guitar. I'm going with these boomers. This set is 9 to 58. The reason why I'm going with lighter, I usually typically go with 10s, 10 to 60 on the 7 strings, but since this is a multi-scale and it goes to 27.5 inch, I think, really it gets really tight if I do 60s on the B string. So I like this set because I can run 9s, which help me out down here when it starts to stretch out and put more tension on those higher strings or lower strings. So anyway, I'm gonna put that set on there. Here is a look at the Tone Ninja. This is how it comes. And again, I was really happy with this purchase. I haven't used them just yet, but they have rave reviews. And inside, here's how it looks. Here is your 7th one that's drilled out to 0.086. So you can have a really fat B string on there. And then here are all your nuts and washers. And let's take a look at one of these guys real quick before we bolt them all up. And again, it's a high quality tuner. It feels really good. It is a 19-to-1 ratio. And as far as bang for your buck and just a quality tuner in general, it's going to be hard to beat these guys. You're wasting your money if you spend twice or 3 times the money on other Lockheed tuners. You just can't beat this set at like 55 bucks. It's an awesome deal and they look terrific. So I'll do a time lapse as we get started on gutting this Exile 7 multi-scale. All right, so I'm just gonna interrupt things here real quick. What you didn't see was that these pickups did not fit. They were too wide. So what I ended up having to do is take a Dremel and dremeling out 2 millimeters of width throughout here. I just used a sanding drum and I got a nice clean line on there. And then also I had to do the same thing over here on this side. Again, just creating that extra clearance in there for the pickups. And then also, speaking of pickups, the base plate on here, the corners on the base plate were came out a little too far. So what I ended up having to do was just take on a belt sander and sanding those down a little bit more to get them to fit the cavity shape a bit better. So that's done, and what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to mask this off, and then I'm going to shoot this top of this plate black, just so like the metal's not showing, and then be ready to go. I will say though that in here, we look, the holes, the mounting holes that the Seymour Duncans used will not fit. I have to come in a few millimeters on here So what I'm going to have to end up doing is just drilling out those holes. Get this in focus. I don't know if you can really tell, but they're a little bit narrower. But that's not a big deal. Again, the biggest thing was just dribbling out that pocket and giving it some relief to fit these new bare knuckles. And then in addition to that, what I'm going to end up doing here is, because I need to center the pickup in with the bridge and mainly the neck, I want it centered on the neck. I am going to mount one center string. I'll put that fourth string in here and mount that, so that'll give my straight line through here, and then I will mount these guys in here where that is dead center of those center lugs, and that should be it. We'll go back to the fast forwarding. All right, so here is the finished work. I'm sorry you couldn't really see it when I was doing it, but anyway, here we go. And it's kind of tight in this compartment, but I think everything worked out pretty well. And I have a little isolator pad down here, so that guy doesn't make noise flopping around when I'm playing. I hate stuff like that. But overall, the install went pretty smoothly. And here's a quick look at the other side. Now, one thing that was weird is that the stock knobs, as far as volume and tone, don't fit on the posts on the BK pots, so I don't really understand what's going on with that. I was able to get things pretty well aligned as far as pickup and string. One thing I really do like about the Kahler system is that I can move the saddles in and out and kind of adjust that around, which if you're doing like custom stuff or whatever, like I really like the versatility of all of the adjustment and movement on this bridge. But there she is. So everything is done now. I got some knobs off of Amazon. I realized that the bare knuckle pots were 6mm and my previous ones were 5, so that's why I had the fitment issue. But that wasn't really a big deal. I spent like $10 on those. But yeah, I got everything set up, lined up. Really happy with the way it came out. I also really like the, I'll flip it back over here so you can see the Tone Ninja tuners. And again, I've been really happy with them so far anyway. I really only played this thing about a half hour so far and tuned it up. But I did like the way they worked and the way they kept everything in tune. The lock works really good for it, and I'm pretty happy with the way they came out, especially for the price point. Overall, I did mess with the sound of it, and it is now comparable to my other guitars like the Solar, and then also my other PV that has some Seymours in there. The Solar has the Fishman Moderns. So all the tone is about the same. I'm not as bass heavy as what I was before, not as muddy. The Nailbomb really works pretty good in that regard. I think I probably could have gone with an Aftermath just to get a little bit more bass out of it, or just a little beefier pickup. But the Nailbomb is going to work just fine, and I do really like the Cold Sweat. If you guys want to go down this route, if you have this guitar or whatever, then you know it can be done. This is probably more a documentary for me in the future. Just remember all the changes I did to it. But if anybody out there finds this helpful in any way, then all the more power to you. I will get some tones from this for you guys in the near future. I'll do like a Suffo song or something. Unfortunately, right now I'm not set up to record guitar that well, so anything I did would just be like a mic'd open cab, and I don't think it would really tell you guys very much about how it sounds. But the next video I do, next cover I do, I promise I'll have the audio from these pickups in it, so you can hear how this guitar sounds.